Hi all, so welcome to the first chapter of your AAA subject. The chapter number 1 is all about international regulatory environments for audit and assurance services. In this chapter, we are going to specifically learn about something that we have already covered in AA, which is international regulatory environment for auditors, like who regulates the auditors, how the auditors are being regulated, and we are also going to briefly touch upon corporate governance and will introduce you to the basics of corporate governance and just a framework. Then we are going to learn something which is introduced in AAA, which is called as money laundering. You would have heard this term before, but this is something very deeply discussed in money laundering. What is money laundering? What are the offenses of money laundering? What does the ACCA says or guides about money laundering? And how auditors approach money laundering using their risk-based approach. And we are also going to talk about in detail, which we have learned something in AA, which is NOCLAR, non-compliance of laws and regulations. So that is under ISA 250, how auditors should consider whether the laws and regulations are being followed by the companies or not, and how do the auditors audit this non-compliance of laws and regulations. So this is what we are going to specifically learn in this particular chapter. This chapter is not isolatedly or in standalone tested very deeply, but definitely money laundering being a very important and hot topic, as well as after a lot of scams and scandals, even recent development changes in bitcoins, money laundering can be tested in your exams. They could also ask you about NOCLAR. There are a lot of companies who are actually doing a non-compliance of laws and regulations. So as a secondary part of the question of section A, they could ask topics from this particular part of the syllabus. And it's very important that you learn the concepts and understand how, as an auditor, what are our responsibilities, our rules and regulations that we need to follow while auditing these companies, and what should we keep in our mind before we take up these audits.